Hey everyone, Cable the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with an economic update video. So guys, I don't do these all the time, but I do them often enough to share basically just when I get stuff that I think's worth sharing and is important for you guys to know, not only as resellers, but honestly as people in general, because let's face it, the economy does impact all of us. I know some people think, oh, it's not important because I have my job and it's guaranteed. Well guys, no one's job is guaranteed. Let me just say that outright. I don't care how long you've been at a place. Places go belly up all the time. It doesn't matter how old a company is, they go out of business. And that actually sort of bookends pretty well with something I will be talking about in this video. So guys, what I'm talking about in this video is the economy at large, but also container board prices, or cardboard if you are a layman, or corrugated, fiber stuff. There's lots of words for basically what we get in normal boxes. I'm going to get a lot of people angry regardless what I refer to it as, so I'm going to refer to it as cardboard because that's what we all call it. I got this in the mail today from Uline, and guys, right here at the bottom it says save up to 40% on corrugated cartons. 40%. Folks, I don't know how long a lot of you guys have been selling on eBay. For me, I've been selling for a hot minute, and I've seen the prices for cardboard literally double in my time. And I actually have right here, you guys can look this up yourself on the FRED site. That is the Federal Reserve Education Department, and that is the St. Louis Fed that puts it out. It's the Producer Price Index by industry, corrugated cardboard and corrugated and solid fiber box manufacturing, corrugated shipping containers for paper, and allied products. Long name, but you can literally just look up like container board prices chart, something like that. That'll probably pop it up. And here's the chart right here for you guys. If you guys can see, you see that it's a pretty linear increase in its prices, maybe slightly exponential, but we also see, and this is the maximum chart, but let me zoom in on just the 5-year chart really quick for you guys. So right here is the 5-year chart, and I'm having my hand out there to have it so it hopefully focuses on it. But end of the day, guys, we saw as soon as the lockdowns began, container board, cardboard prices started shooting up through out of the wazoo. Like, it was insane, the sort of increases we saw. According to the index, it was about 350-ish right in the beginning of the lockdown entire thing, and then by the time that 2022 hit, it got all the way up to just shy of let's call it 470, which is a very large increase. What is that, 30% or so? So while we are not quite doing amazing, we have actually had that price, according to the government statistics, had that price drop back down to just shy of 420, which is still a good increase over what we did have. So let's just call that, I'm not doing the math off the top of my head, but let's just say it's 15%-ish. So it has retraced a good amount, but it's still way up. However, 40% savings that Uline is offering, that is pretty compelling for me with my own business. I've been needing to get some more of a certain size of box, so it's like, oh, that might actually get me to actually go out and purchase that. And obviously I cut this baby on open and looked at it, scrolled through. You know, you spent too much time on the internet but I flipped through all the different things, looked at the different prices, and the prices are still not great. Obviously, I'm a cheap person, as we've already established in a lot of things, but there are a lot of boxes that I'm seeing now that are boxes that I use often size-wise. And I was, during lockdowns, paying $1 plus for some of these boxes. And now some of these boxes are selling for like 50 to 80 cents on these things each, which is pretty nice because, again, it got to a point where it was over $1 for these things. So that is a decline by half, which shows, at least based on this, the government data is not entirely mirroring what we are actually seeing, which newsflash, we seldom see the government figures actually representing what the average person feels. They rig these numbers as best they can to make it so they don't have to pay out as much for Social Security and such. That is why all those tracking things were made, was so they could see how much they need to adjust Social Security payments for. So obviously, if you need to pay someone money and you're the government and you're unscrupulous, you're going to obviously justify things lower than what it really is because you're cheap and you're stealing from people anyway. So what do you expect? But with all that said, sorry, I did mention in the very beginning, it doesn't matter how old your company is, how solid things are, it doesn't matter how good business was very recently. layoffs can and do happen. Businesses do go out of business. What am I talking about? There is a company called International Paper. They have lots and lots of plants across the United States that creates paper products, including boxes. In fact, most of the boxes you guys have are probably from International Paper. It's a pretty big company. It's a pretty cool company, all that sort of stuff. I've been following that company for a hot minute now for other reasons other than just the antique book business. But they've actually been doing a lot of layoffs. They are closing down several factories in several different states. They are saying that it's for just like restructuring reasons, all that sort of stuff, which people always say. But end of the day, 40% savings, and then according to even the government data, it's down a good amount of the price per piece for all the cardboard, all that sort of stuff. Like, we are seeing these prices coming down. When the prices come down, businesses have to adjust accordingly. If you're, let's say your book business, guys, let's say all your books are going down by 30%, are you still going to be able to sell all the same books that you did? Probably not. For me, I've mentioned before, the higher end collectible books that I have, the sales are just not what they used to be, because as the economy is slowing down and hurting, surprise, surprise, I wish someone said that was coming. Oh wait, a lot of people did, but it's just mainstream media saying it's not, and it's best time ever. But I've been telling even people that I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still getting some sales in my business, but everything I'm selling is ultra low end books that honestly I just am selling and having sell because I saw this coming, because I told you guys I saw this coming, all that sort of stuff. I have lower end books that people are going to keep on buying in times of recession, depression, all that sort of stuff, because books always get sold no matter the economic situation we're in. Of course, the higher end books, the more collectible books, those are going to get hammered pretty hard. For me, a lot of the books that I have are going to be sold off to middle income families and maybe like the low end of high income people, because I just don't have the ultra really nice collectible antique books. If you guys have those really nice antique books, those are the ones that those people buy for investment purposes. Those are the ones that you can see increase in price. I'm not going to say indefinitely, but it sure feels like indefinitely. Whereas for me, with the more middle income, maybe high income books that I sell that are the collectible ones, those, they get hit pretty hard in recessions. Those lose a lot of value in the recessions, because the middle income people, they are the ones that are dependent on their wages, and wages get hammered really hard. It isn't until you get to the high income people that they have investments that actually produce their income for them. They don't need to work every hour to make every single dollar. They already put in that work. They have those businesses, and those businesses are paying off in dividends, and well, that means their revenue sources are a lot more secure. Of course, they do get impacted in recessions, depressions, all that sort of stuff as well, but not the same amount as a mid to low income person. With that said, the International Paper people, those people probably thought they had pretty secure jobs, especially after the giant run-up we saw in prices. They were probably set and pretty. I don't know exactly how they pay their employees, but I would assume they at least sent a few bonuses out to people with how much money that company was able to bring in during all the lockdowns. Because again, guys, as we saw in the chart that I showed you, there were some huge increases in those prices. We saw the linear trend of prices. Actually, for you guys, it's that way, sorry. And then during lockdowns, you saw a big old hump right here. It was the Hunchback of Notre Dame right there. And now we have reverted back more or less to the trend of growth that we have seen for the last few decades. So, of course, that's not guaranteeing there's a depression, recession, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure someone's going to be telling me that of, oh, container boards don't actually represent that. Cardboard doesn't say if there's a recession or not. Problem is, it is a leading indicator of recession. Problem is, a lot of other data has also pointed that we are either right on the precipice of recession, or a lot of other data says that we are already in recession. Other people, guys, there's some compelling arguments. I've mentioned this in other things. They've said we are in depression and have been in depression since 2008, that whole crisis. And guys, depression, I know you guys are thinking, oh, the Great Depression, da-da-da-da-da. Calm down. Depressions happen in economies just like recessions happen, all that sort of stuff. I know that the education system of America, broken as it is, has shared some information about how recessions are the worst thing ever and we are supposed to avoid them at all costs. Problem is, when you do that, you kick the can down the road and it just gets bigger and bigger of a can you got to kick, and eventually you break your foot as you try to kick that can down the road further, and you are incapacitated because you made the snowball way too big for you to be able to actually stop. We have to have recessions to clean out the system of basically the diseases in the system. There are a lot of metaphors I can use. I've already used several metaphors, but we have to have recessions and depressions in a normal economy. With that said, with the whole 2008 thing, we got in recession with that. People argue that we are still in depression from that. So depression is, I would argue, not as bad as recession for the average person. So in recession, that is when you have everyone has this much money, recession happens, it crashes down to, let's say, this money. Depression is when you have, so let's say the normal growth curve is, let's say, 5% for a country. When you have depression, that just means you have depressed growth. So that means you could have 2% growth, 1% growth, 0.5% growth a year, stuff like that. It's not the end of the world. It happens all the time, especially in larger developed countries. You're going to have times where you have just depressed growth. And in America, it's pretty hard to argue that we have not had depressed growth when you look at the actual, like, let's call it lived experience of people, if you will, because government data, they lie out of the wazoo. It's insane. If you guys have looked at all the job numbers that they've been putting out, you can see that they have revised these numbers time and time again and taken away. They're like, oh, we had great jobs this year, and then they revise them, and it's like, oh, those are not good numbers at all, and oh, wow. They fiddle with these numbers all over the board to make themselves look good. So just go off of that with a grain of salt, a big grain of salt, a big old government-sized grain of salt, if you will, because they're going to rig the numbers to make themselves look good. Otherwise, you're going to have revolution on your hands, let's say. It's all about bread and circuses, if you guys will. But with all of that said, we do need to consider the entire fact of, okay, let's say we are already in depression. So what? It's recession, it gets even worse, but we're going to keep on growing, whoop-de-doo. Or let's say that we aren't in depression and we're hitting another recession. What does that mean for you guys? Well, that sort of adjusts your timelines, your thoughts, all the stuff you have to do for your business. Or let's say that we are already in recession, it's already going down and it's going down further. What does that do for you guys? I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. I'm not your financial advisor. I don't want to be your financial advisor. I'm not any of that official stuff. So do your own due diligence, reach out to your own professional people, because I'm not that. I don't want to be that. I like doing my own thing. I like having my own books, my own business, and my own shiny silver stuff. So you guys can do whatever you want. For me, I've done my own research. I've adjusted accordingly. I've made my business decisions accordingly. Again, I bought all these lower end books for the sake of having it so these sales continue in recession. Of course, I still have the higher end books as well, because let's face it, every now and then, even in recessions and such, you can still have like home run sales. But end of the day, you can also have a whole bunch of like cheap books that will continue selling, because let's face it, whether or not the economy's good, you need to keep on getting sales so you can have cash flow. Without cash flow, you're dead. More or less, it's cash flow is the same as blood flow for your business. There's a lot more that I could say, would like to say, all that sort of stuff, but I'm just going to end this video with saying, please look at history, guys. Look at what has historically done well in recessions. Please get out and vote. Of course, by the time this comes out, it's actually election day, so if you guys can do in-person voting, please be sure to do that. Vote for someone that's actually going to save the country and put in the change that we need. Probably not any morons that are currently destroying stuff. That's as political as I'm going to get. You guys can see who I'm voting for from there. Obviously, I don't try to get too political on this channel, ever. Sarcasm, I do that all the time. But guys, please be sure to plan accordingly and vote accordingly for what you guys are doing. I'm saying this because most of my viewers are in America. If you're not in America, well, vote in your own country, I guess. Obviously not tomorrow, because you guys don't have elections tomorrow in most countries, but hey, whatever. But with that said, I would also encourage you guys, in addition to looking at history, I would highly encourage you guys to look at certain investments that do better in recessionary times. Let me just look behind me really quick. Ooh, what is this? Is this gold? Oh, what is this? Is this silver? Huh, I wonder if those are two things you should look at. I wonder if that's something you should look up to see if one of these assets is hitting new all-time highs and still climbing higher, and seeing if the other one might have a history of potentially outperforming the former and doing a whole lot better, even though it hasn't quite caught up just yet, but it's still performing quite well. I wonder if you could say that one of these or both of these have more than doubled in the last few years. Do your own research, guys. That was just totally broad hints. I'm not telling you whatsoever what you might want to invest in. Cough, cough. Gold and silver, cool. Cough, cough. You didn't hear it from me. Cough, cough. act accordingly. Lots of other stuff though that does really well in recessions. Lots of stuff that goes on sale in recessions, and by on sale I mean that price goes down by 40%, 50%, 100%. In certain cases, obviously 100% might be a little excessive, but there are some things, guys, that go for sale on a huge way. Sorry, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, don't invest in that. Look how bad it crashed. Never invest in it. It won't ever come back." And then it comes back in a big way because everything goes in cycles. Real estate being a good example of that, because there were people in the whole 2008 crisis that said, "Don't buy real estate. It only goes down." Well, a few years later, people were telling you once again, only buy real estate. It only goes up. That sort of stuff. So again, it's all over the board what kind of information you can find. I highly recommend getting an assortment of people feeding you information for these things and acting accordingly. There will be people that tell you real estate only goes up, and you can look at them and be like, "You're a moron. I'm not listening to you." And then there's other people that are like, "Oh yeah, everything goes in cycles. Here's the data to actually back up what I'm saying. I'm not telling you this is what happened in the last 5 years, so it's going to continue like this forever. I'm talking about following the people that say this is what happened in the last 5,000 years. Here's what's going to happen next." Everything happens in cycles. History always repeats. All that sort of stuff. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If so, please be sure to leave it a like. If you guys have any like really cool recession stories of things that your family did that really helped you really do well in the next few years following a recession, please be sure to drop that in the comments as well to help everyone else out for me in my business. I've sort of got to the point that I'm looking at some of these things on eBay, seeing these books that are like solid collectibles and seeing their prices coming down. I'm like, ooh, is it time to actually go out and buy that myself to hold on to for 4 more years or something like that? That sort of stuff. It's like, ooh, is it worth this? Is it worth doing this and this and this? Doing all this research for all these things. I'm doing a couple business moves for other things. Like, obviously, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm doing a lot of research, making sure that I am stepping into what's coming the best way possible. I know I was going to end this video 10 minutes ago, forgive me, but I have properties that I've been following for several years now, actually, watching these properties as they got listed this high during the lockdowns, and those prices have just kept on going down and down and down and down. Some properties, guys, that I've been watching are down by 50% from what they were. I'm going to pause even longer to let you guys really have that sink in. People told you that real estate only goes up. Well, according to the actual government data, that doesn't happen. We've seen prices going down according to even industry data on housing. I know not everyone is living in areas where housing is going down, but it is going down in a big way in a lot of different places. There are some places still that there are housing prices going up. The real estate market of the United States is not one giant market. It is cut up into all these different metros and rural areas and all that sort of stuff. So obviously your mileage will vary, but guys, in the last recession, we had property markets that went down 60%. I just shared myself that I've been watching places that have gone down by 50%. I think that shows that we are potentially in pretty bad straits. There's lots of similarities right now that we are seeing that are, I'm literally going to say copy and paste of the 2008 crisis. There are also some very close similarities to what we are in right now and other recessionary periods in American history. So again, guys, just do your research. Don't just listen to the morons on mainstream media who are like, well, the last 3 years, this is how it went. The last 10 years, this is how it went. Listen to the people that actually do research, actually have IQs above the room temperature, and actually look at history and what historical trends are. The biggest mark to see if someone is an absolute moron that you shouldn't listen to is if the person says at any point, this time it's different. Odds are they're going to be an idiot that you shouldn't listen to. Of course, there will be some people that will say this time is different with the caveat of, I know I shouldn't say this, but it is different this time. And here's all my historical records of, it's not like different, it's different from what we've seen the last 5 years, reverting back to history. It's different than all of human history, all of human experience. It's different this time. We're going to the moon on an elephant because we don't need rocket ships now because it's different this time. That's the sort of stuff, the sort of fantasies that people try to spin to make you buy stuff. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything, minus a few more minutes on on YouTube watching my video. I guess that's about it. But with that said and done, finally winding this video down. Again, guys, I highly encourage you guys to look stuff up. I also, not sponsored by Uline, but check out Uline for the book boxes going down as much as they did. That's pretty stinking compelling. I also recommend they have a box sized 3" by 3" by 3" that you can get for 29 cents. I recommend you guys tell me in comments what in the world are you going to put in a box that small. What kind of book can you put in that? Of course, it's not for books, but I sort of want to see a book that small now. Thank you guys again for watching. Again, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, experiences, all that sort of stuff in the comments. I'm sure I got a lot of people offended in this video. I don't care. Leave this video a like or a dislike. I don't care. And subscribe if you guys would like to see more stuff, hear more economic updates, get offended even more. I don't know. And be sure to check out one of my other videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.